Hi, welcome. This short series is designed to promote greater opening and flexibility in your upper back, neck, and shoulders. Many people spend much of their day rounding forward, whether it's sitting in front of a computer, driving a car, hunched over a cutting board, or holding babies. This will help reverse that trend, bringing our bodies into a greater state of balance and equilibrium. As a note, this series is especially great for postpartum moms who aren't quite ready to step back into a full yoga practice, but are feeling the strains and demands of having a babe in arms so much of the time. In preparation for our short class, you'll need a space where you can lay down on the floor, a couple of blankets. If you don't have, and you want the blankets to be firm, so if you don't have a firm blanket, a towel will do and a pillow. And then you'll also need a space at the wall. If open wall space is hard to come by, you can also use a closed door. Let's begin. Please stand with your feet hip distance apart and parallel to one another. Join your hands at your heart in Anjali Mudra. Connect to your breath. With your next inhalation, sweep your arms wide and overhead. And as you exhale, circle them back and to the heart. Inhaling as the arms rise up, exhaling back to the heart center. Keep going, following the rhythm of your breath so that the movement follows the breath. And once more. This time, inhale, sweep your arms all the way up. Turn your palms to face the ceiling. Circling your right wrist with your left hand, reach up and exhale to the left. Inhaling back to center. Circle the opposite wrist and exhale up and over to the right. Keep going, again, following the rhythm of your breath. Both feet stay firmly planted on the earth so that it gives you maximum opening through the sides of the rib cage, allowing for a greater fluidity of breath, as well as mobility of your spine. You'll do one more on each side. And then inhaling back to center, exhale, circle the arms down and by your sides. Let's head to the wall. You'll place your hands to the wall, shoulder distance apart. Now, if you don't have a wall, you could also do this on a desk or a table with your hands flat against the table or desk. Start to walk your feet back so that your torso starts to dip down. With knees slightly bent, you're going to push your hips back away from the wall so that the chest dips down and your torso comes more parallel to the floor. Now, a couple key actions. Feet are going to be hip distance apart parallel, and wrist creases are going to be parallel to the floor. You want to make sure not to let your shoulders collapse. So by pressing your hands into the wall and even tracking them down slightly, the head of the arm bones will lift, and then you can soften more right here behind the base of the heart. Now, if your hamstrings are particularly tight and you go to straighten your legs, you'll feel your low back push out. We want to always work with the natural curves of your spine, so you want to keep this part of your lumbar spine, your low back, drawing in. But you also don't want the belly being collapsed. So give a slight scoop of your tailbone so that you feel your belly tone. Exactly. And now push your hands into the wall and stretch your hips back so that you stretch all the way open from the backs of the shoulders to your hips. If you can maintain this positioning of your back, then you can stretch the tops of the thighs back to straighten your legs. Nice deep breathing. You can take 3 to 5 breaths here, elongating your spine. And then go ahead and walk your feet forward to come up to standing. Facing the wall, you'll stretch your left arm out, turning the palm to face the sky. Come in a little bit closer. Place your opposite hand on your hip And then pressing your pinky finger into the wall as if you were karate chopping the wall to take the head of the arm bone back, you'll start to turn your body away from the wall. Now you'll want to resist the shoulder wanting to come along for the ride. So as you continue to press your hand into the wall, it'll help take the shoulder back, bringing the shoulder blade onto the back. And breathe. Feet will be hip distance apart, parallel to each other. The hips stacked above the ankles, and the head stacking right above the heart, chin parallel to the floor. Breathing here, this stretch promotes great opening across the chest. You can feel it all the way down the inside of the arm, even all the way to the tips of the fingers. You might even feel a sensation of tingling through the fingers as new channels open up. Nice, full, deep breathing here. Taking anywhere from 5 to 7 breaths. And then you want to make sure to exit the pose as mindfully as you got into it. So continuing to press your pinky finger into the wall, you'll turn back to face the wall, and then release the arm. Second side. Now extending the right arm out to the side with the palm facing the sky. Once again, karate chop the wall with the pinky finger side of the hand to take the shoulder back, and start to turn your body away from the wall. Now you won't turn a ton, and that's fine. The idea is just to feel, again, shoulder anchoring back, shoulder blade on the back, and a nice broadening across from the chest all the way down through the arm. Breathing here. If your shoulder is tighter, you'll find that it's hard to maybe take the hand all the way parallel to the floor. So as you continue to breathe and things open up, you can angle the thumb down more. And note that the shoulder is not in contact with the wall. There's a space here as you keep the head of the arm bone anchoring to the back plane of the body. Remember, nice, full, deep breathing. Feet firmly grounded. Chin parallel to the floor and the throat is nice and open. And then you'll turn back to face the wall and release your arm. Coming back into our L-shaped dog pose from before. Once again, hands to the wall or table, shoulder distance apart. Walk your feet back. So your feet are stacked beneath your hips as you press your hands into the wall and reach your hips back behind you. Same thing, if your hamstrings are tight, keep your knees slightly bent. If you can keep the low back moving in, then you can elongate your legs by stretching the tops of the thigh bones back. Don't let your head collapse, creating more strain on the neck and rounding in the upper body, nor do you want to tilt the head up, shortening the cervical vertebrae. But keep your head in a neutral position so that the biceps frame your ears. Once again, 5 breaths here. And after that last breath, walk your feet forward to come up to standing. Now let's head to the floor. For this next pose, you'll want to grab your blankets, or you can use a pillow and a blanket. So come to lay on your side. The first pillow or blanket is for your head. And the second one will go in between your legs with your knees bent. That'll help support your low back and keep your hips from skewing. You're going to trace circles with your top arm on the floor. So with arm extended, reach to your fingertips and begin creating circles. As the arm comes behind you, your torso will twist open more. And the idea is that you maintain contact as best as you can with your fingertips on the floor. You might find as you move through that there are certain places where your fingertips might jump off the floor where your shoulder is tighter. The idea is that as you continue to move, that lubricating the shoulder joint, things will get more fluid, and that space where it jumps off the floor will get smaller and even disappear completely. You'll circle 5 to 7 times, or even 10 in one direction. And then you'll reverse the movement so that you repeat the same amount in the other direction. Remember to stay connected to your breath here. The tendency is when we get into those spaces that feel really tight or sticky that we want to hold our breath, which makes everything much more challenging. So especially when you get into those spaces that feel tight, I want you to really focus on your breath and try and breathe through it. And then one more time. Pause, and we'll switch sides. So moving into the other side, you can just flip over if you're at home. For purposes of the camera, we'll switch sides here. So head to the side. And once again, a little support between your legs. Do your best to keep your head in line with the rest of your spine, and inhaling, begin your circles. Now, if you're a newly postpartum mom and you've had a cesarean section prior to 8 weeks postpartum, just check in on this one. You just want to make sure that you don't feel any pulling on your belly. And so if you're feeling that, or even in the L-shaped dog pose, please omit those until either 8 weeks postpartum or when it's no longer feeling uncomfortable to stretch there. And you can really kind of let your torso roll open, so you also get a bit of a twist here through the torso as your arm comes behind you. And then let's have you go the other direction. And take your time. Really reach through your fingertips all the way through the movement to get maximum opening and stretch here. Another contraindication for this pose would be if you have any injury to the rotator cuff or tear. Last one. And pause. Coming up to our last pose. For the next pose, we're going to make a small bolster from one of our blankets. So I'm going to take this one out. And you want the blanket to be fairly firm to make the bolster. If you don't have a firm blanket, then you can also use a rolled up towel. So I'll make this bolster and place it here across your mat. You're going to come to lay over top of the bolster so that the bolster hits right about at your mid-back so that the shoulders drape over the top of it. Arms extend out to the side with the palms up, and your legs will stretch straight as long as it doesn't cause any strain or discomfort to your low back. So basically the bolster is placed in one of the stiffer parts of the back, here in the mid-spine. The shoulders drape over the top, and you want to make sure that the back of the neck is nice and long. If you notice as you lay back, there's more tightness in the neck and your chin is tilted up and back, you'll want to place a small support underneath the back of the head so that the head and the neck are more in a neutral position. This tends to be a favorite for people, and you'll lay here and breathe. You can close your eyes, and you can stay here for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. That concludes our series. Thanks for joining. Namaste.